This matches with some of the other numbers that we showed, that, the 80 and 20%. Most of them are coming from acquaintances. And I found that it doesn't have to be in my job circle. It doesn't have to be my job circle. It could be my gym circle. It could be my church circle. The key principle here is that meerkat in our brain that wants to know if I can trust that person or if it's a man-eating tiger. It trusts you if you're in your tribe. There's like tons of tribes, right? BYU versus Utah. You get political tribes. You get church tribes. Even within organizations. We're on the back-end team at the company I'm with now, and there's a front-end BI team, and there's some tribalism going on between the two. And that creates competition sometimes. It creates friction. So one of those hacks is if you're in a lot of tribes, people are going to naturally just be like, oh, yeah, you're one of my buddies. So we're going to talk some specifics, too, on how you can leverage that in job interviews, but that's the principle, getting some tribes. There was a former FBI director named Jack Schaefer. So this is the book you were just listening to. He wrote a book called The Like Switch. And so he had to do some pretty tough assignments. The beginning story in the book has him brought into a room with a spy shackled to a table, and he was asked to try to get information from the spy. Or he was given a task to try to turn a foreign diplomat against his own country and to come work for the United States. And the way he did it was by observing the natural pattern that human beings go through to establish trust and friendship. And then he would do that to get people to spill their beans or turn against their country. And because he's nerdy like me, he came up with a formula. A formula for friendship. Everybody does this to establish tribes and to establish relationships. And if he can do that under those circumstances, then we should be able to apply the same principles to get jobs. That should be a slam dunk. His formula is proximity. So the more you're around somebody, frequency, how often, and then how long, duration, and then intensity. How deep of a conversation? Is it super shallow and superficial, or are you getting more vulnerable? Are you getting deeper in conversations? As you increase these things, friendship develops and trust develops, and people are going to like you more. With one caveat, if you do something wrong that triggers their inner meerkat, then that blows this away. And so he'd have to be careful with that with the diplomat. He would ease into the proximity and frequency to not set off his inner meerkat. He'd have to be a little careful to manage that. If I were to summarize all of this, I'd call it familiarity. The more we're around somebody, the more often we're around somebody, the deeper the relationship. We become familiar, and our inner meerkat starts to relax a little bit and starts to calm down and is more willing to do what you'd ask it to. It's always a balancing act, though. We want to be liked. We want to have rapport. We want to have relationships. But we also want to show that we're confident, that we're powerful, that we know what we're talking about. We're an authority in our space. Sometimes that can be a tricky balance, as we'll see as we're going through the body language and other things. But what we want to do here is to find the perfect balance where in these relationships that we're building, as we're going out and meeting people and building out our networks, we want them to like us. We want them to trust us. We want them to see us as warm and build a rapport while showing that we're confident and know what we're talking about. If this gets out of whack, if you are very confident and powerful, but people don't like you or don't trust you, then you end up like Voldemort. Okay? He got his way a lot, but he did it through compulsion and through power and force. Go to the other end of the spectrum, though, where somebody's very likable and trustworthy, but you don't see him as competent. Can you think of a Harry Potter character like that? Hagrid? Oh, Hagrid would be a good one, too. I didn't think about Hagrid. I put Neville on there. Although he kind of made up for it at the end with his manly sword swipe cutting off the snake's head. That was pretty cool. If you've seen the How It Should Have Ended, that's like the best version of it because he's like, I'm awesome, as he's cutting the snake's head off. It's cool. So is Neville going to get a lot of job opportunities, though? It's like, yeah, I like you, Neville, let's go have a butterbeer. But I'm not going to hire you to be an engineer or developer because I don't see you as competent. Then if you're in this quadrant where you're not likable and you're seen as incompetent, I put crab and goyle, Draco's little toadies. Nobody likes them very much, and they don't know what they're doing. They're incompetent. The sweet spot that's going to get you influence and opportunities is to be the Dumbledores of the world, where people like you, you're charismatic, you build rapport quickly, but you also show that you know what you're talking about. If people have that kind of a relationship with you, when opportunities come up, they're going to think of you. And again, that's what I do when I'm hiring. I will think of someone in my network, and those are the two traits I subconsciously think about. All right, will they be a good cultural fit is the buzzword they use in the industry, right? Good cultural fit, and they're awesome at what they do. That's what I'm trying to find when I hire. All right, we're going to take a slight detour a little bit, and we're going to talk about our happy chemicals, chemicals that make us happy. Okay? So this relates a little bit to that neuroscience. Our bodies can produce hundreds of different kinds of chemicals for different purposes. Fight or flight, for example, will get you a boost of adrenaline and cortisol to get your body prepped for fight or flight. These ones in particular, though, are ones that make us feel good. And one of the premises that that Jack has in the like switch is that when we're around somebody, if they feel good when they're around us, they'll associate that good feeling with us, and they'll tend to like us more and trust us. So this might sound kind of manipulative,
but it's not.
And there's probably politicians that use it manipulatively all the time, and marketers. My ask is that, my expectation is that you guys are already awesome, and that these skills are just going to bring everything into congruence. It's going to take the skills and awesomeness that you have and then give you some tools to enhance that. So dopamine, anyone know what dopamine does? That's one of the first neurotransmitters or chemicals. So dopamine is a reward chemical. You get it when you have sugar. You get it if somebody uses your name. You get it if somebody likes your social media post on Facebook or Instagram. You get it if you're checking off items on your to-do list. Every time you check, doesn't that feel good when you check off items on your to-do list? That's a little hit of dopamine. That's why it feels good. Okay? That's a reward chemical that we can leverage as we get further into the slides. How do we get people to feel good in our presence? I already gave you one. Using their name, they'll feel better. Oxytocin is an interesting one too. This is a bonding hormone. This is what helps us connect with other mammals. There's a guy named Paul Zak that's done a lot of research on oxytocin. He's done some interesting experiments. He did one where he took blood samples at a wedding to see what oxytocin levels were like. Did you guys do that at your wedding? Okay. Well,
You should have.
yeah, you missed a chance. They found that the bride had the highest levels of oxytocin, and then the groom was second. And then the farther away you got from the bride and groom, you'd get decreasing amounts of oxytocin. This is the feel-goods, the warm fuzzies. Okay, so the bride and groom had the most warm fuzzies, and then the people closest to him had the most warm fuzzies. Another experiment he did, he had people snort high doses of oxytocin. Anyone want to volunteer for that kind of experiment? There's probably an essential oil for that. When they had snorted the oxytocin, even though it was artificially raised, people were more generous and trusting, which is a little creepy that we can be manipulated so much. But it changed behavior, it changed attitudes by snorting oxytocin. So for an interview, you can carry around in a diffuser pumping out oxytocin and get people to trust you. Or we've got other ways that we'll talk about. Yeah, wear it on my cologne. Serotonin, this one isn't as clear-cut as the others for me. There's a few aspects to it, but it's associated with feelings of significance or importance. People want to feel that they have significance. It's also part of helping us calm down during fight or flight. And then endorphins is a natural pain reliever that we get after a fight or flight or after an injury of some kind. It's our body's natural way of trying to help us feel better. So we're going to have those in mind as we go through the hacks and ways that we can leverage them as we're building out our relationships. I don't remember. So, hack number 1 is simple. Attend events. Participate. And this can be in person. It can be online. As you'll see in some of these principles, even just doing a little bit, you don't have to do all of this. You don't have to be perfect at these principles. Doing some of it is gonna build trust. It's gonna start helping. So be active on LinkedIn. If there's industry groups on social media, then participate in that. Attend meetups. There's meetups all the time around here. There's Tableau meetups. There was a free big data and dev conference that was here in Utah. Make time to attend these events deliberately to start building out your career. And I'd suggest doing it before you need the job. If we're needing a job and we have that desperation, that need to get one, that's going to come across in our body language and everything else, and it's not going to be as effective. So before you need the job, start building out that network beforehand. And one of two things will happen. Opportunities are going to start coming to you before you need them. And if you actually do need the job, then you have a network of people that have your back. That's hack number 1.